Okay, so today's video is going to be about how to use a radio controlled relay to then control a light, a motor, or an actuator, which is really just a servo motor, right? You got a stepper motor, a servo motor, LED panel is actually in that encasing. We'll call it a light bulb if you want, but it's actually a 12-volt LED panel. Sure fools everybody though. They think it's a 12-volt light bulb. So what do? Well, we can either use this 12-volt battery or this one that I made. Problem is I don't have enough charge in this battery pack right now. Even when it's fully charged, even though they're both 12 volts, they're not the same amp rating, so they're not going to last as long. I'm not going to stay at 12 volts as long if you're on a load, if you're trying to light a bulb or something, or run a motor. So anyway, the hot terminal is red, the ground is white or black, just like a car battery. You could use a car battery here too. I've got one in the other room. It's 12 volt as well. Anyway, the 12 volts go down the red wire where I spliced there over to where I've got this switch, throw switch, kill switch. This is my manual override right here. Because, okay, radio controlled switch is fine, which is what this is. But you gotta have a manual override in case the radio remote control doesn't work. That's the way I see it. So yeah, goodness. Go ahead and throw the switch, and now we're supplying 12 volts from this red wire into this relay. Now, we've got a positive and negative terminal on this left side. So the positive is going in, and it's going into and across a coil around the windings, and then back out the white wire to the ground, where I ground out back to the battery. Now, when I send 12 volts of current across the coil that's in this little blue box, that creates a magnetic charge, which then pulls an arm, a metal arm, towards the electromagnet, which in turn causes two electrical contact points to touch each other, completing a circuit, which is what we've got down here. There's 3 ports or terminals on the right side here, and we've got the 12 volts not only going in to the coil, which is the circuit on the left side, we've got a separate circuit on the right side, which is controlled by the relay. And we've got the 12 volts with this little Y adapter I made going in to the hot middle terminal on this circuit, which is going to be this circuit for the light bulb or the motors. Now, as soon as that 12 volts goes across the windings in the motor in the blue box, the circuit is going to be completed between these 2 red wires. Right now it's open. There's no completed circuit between these 2 wires, but so the 12 volts stop here. They go in and stop. Now when you press the remote control, that sends the voltage to the windings here, which then create a magnet, which pull the arm, which completes the circuit, and then that sends 12 volts. And the 12 volts can continue now because the circuit's completed over here at this switch, down this red wire, all the way to the light bulb, and then the light bulb lights up, the electricity is grounded out to the same ground as that other circuit, back to the battery. Alright. But none of this happens until, with this unit, you communicate, here's the antenna, with this little radio. Just a little radio receiver here. And you have to tell that radio receiver, okay, go ahead and complete this circuit and send the juice into the electromagnet, which will then complete this circuit, and so on and so forth. So, that's where the remote control comes in. Remote control is going to tell, this transmitter is going to tell this radio receiver what to do. Now the first thing we have to do is program this little device, and program, there's a little button, a little white button and a little light. That's all we've really got to deal with. So what do? We press the white button and keep it held down for about 15 seconds until that light comes back on. And it will. There, it's back on. Now you can release. And that's reset the whole thing, because you don't know who's been using this and how they've set it up. Alright, so it's ready for us to program and match a remote. We press the button one time. Okay, now it's ready for a remote. Press the remote one time. Now they're paired up. That's it. Now if you press the remote, the light should turn on. And it does. Now it's set to toggle. So if I press the remote again, boom, the light goes off. So we've now set up a remote controlled light running off of a battery. The battery supplying the juice for the relay circuit and for the light circuit. Both. And if you have a friend that you want to say, hey, you want to control the light too? I've got another remote you can have. We'll set the other remote up. It's a different kind of remote, but it's okay. It's the same frequency band. It's not the same exact frequency, but we'll go ahead and program this thing to accept this remote as well. So all you got to do is you come over back here and you press that button one time. And saying, okay, I want to pair another remote. Then you come over here and you press a button on a remote. Boom. It lights up. Now you've just paired this other remote with this device. Now if I press the button again, it'll turn the light on and off. So now I've got two remote controls, two different remote controls with two different radio frequencies. They're close, but they're not exactly the same frequency. They're both paired up with this radio controlled switch. It's actually a switch, a radio controlled switch, but the little blue box is the key to this whole thing. The little blue box right there, yeah, that's where the electromagnet is. That's where the circuits are completed. And yeah, so that's all this little box is. It's just a little radio, a couple of terminals, and you're the unit. Now, besides the light, like I said, you can hook this up to have this actuator. Either an actuator is just a little spinning motor here, but it's hooked up to these gears so it can push or pull this rod or arm, which can be hooked up to anything, to whatever. This is a Toyota automatic car door lock actuator. These are what pretty much all cars use. There's one in every car door. There's 4 of these in every car. And then you've got a simple motor. But like I said, that blue box, the relay, in conjunction with the little radio, that's what's going on here. That's what lets you do the remote controlling of your light. On and off. It's not the strongest radio signal, I can tell you that. The batteries are getting weak. I think I've had these remotes for years. It works though. Oh, this one's getting real weak, right? Oh boy. There we go. Yeah, this little brown one, it won't even, no, it won't even work anymore. The battery's going out. I think that's what it is. Or is that the wrong one? Oh. That's what I get for having more than one. Got more than one of these things. So let's see. Let's try this one. Press the button one time on the RF device. Press the button on the remote. Yep, there goes the light. And now this should be paired as well. Press the button on the remote again and the light should turn on. Boom. Yeah, this battery's strong. These other 2 are weak. But I bought a handful of these remote controlled, radio controlled relays. They cost like $8 a piece. That's it. You can hook one up to all the lights in your house, right? You can get boxes with 8 of these relays on them instead of just one, so that you can hook up 8 electronic devices to one little box, and then you can get a remote with 8 buttons on it. So that, yeah, you just buy the remote with 8 buttons or 6 buttons or 4 buttons, and then you buy an array of relays on one board corresponding with how many buttons on your remote. But this is just a simple demonstration. One relay, and we're only utilizing one of 2 buttons in this scenario. And the relay actually has 3 modes. With the remote, I mean the radio has 3 modes. You have a jumper pin on here that has 3 positions. There's three pins to jump, so you can jump the 2 on to the left one or to the right one, or you can take off the jumper and it's open. So there's 3 possible combinations, and the 3 choices that correspond to those combinations are toggle, where your A button or your B button just is the one button. It turns it on and off in a toggle mode. Okay. And then you have your other jump position, which is same kind of thing, except that A is on and the B is going to be off. So it's going to be a latched mode. And finally, if you take the jumper off and it's in its open position as far as the jumping configuration goes, it's the 3rd mode, the momentary mode. And that's where, well, I could show you. excuse me, I'll put the phone down for a second. I'm going to disconnect the manual override so that we're not doing anything dangerous, and then I'm going to disconnect the jumper pin real quick. Yep. So I've taken it off completely. There it is. And here are the 3 empty pins. Let's see if I can zoom in. Of course I can. To the 3 pins here. 1, 2, 3. Those are the 3 pins I'm talking about. And there's a better look at the white button. That's your keyboard, basically. That's your interface, your input interface. And now you can see the relay, the blue box, and the terminals, the 2 on the left, 3 on the right. And your little white antenna for the radio. What I did was, like I said I was going to do, is I've taken the jumper off the 3 pins. Oops, there they are. The 3 pins are open now. So we'll go ahead and throw the switch back on. And we got our light back on. Let's go into, there's a good, got 3 zoom modes on this new phone. So that's a good one now. And so, in changing the jump position, now, like I said, I should be in the momentary mode. And so when I press this A button, as long as I'm pressing it, the light should be on. But as soon as I release my finger from the button, the light should go off. Let's try it. Depressing it, nothing. Depressing it, nothing. Let's try the B button. Pressing it, nothing. Alright. Maybe you got the wrong remote. Let's try the other remote. Press it. Yeah. Now that's working. You press it, it stays on. As soon as you let go, it's off. On, off. In fact, let's see if I can't really keep it on. Not with that remote. Oh boy. Let's try this one. Depress it, nothing. Depress it, nothing. Well, the momentary mode is having a little momentary problem. That's okay. Problem solving. I love it. Let's try this. As long as you just do a short click, it's fine. So if you're trying to do just a short burst anyway, if you're just trying to click the light on and off to send somebody a signal, that's fine. You can't really do Morse code though. I mean, with this, it's not going to stay on. But it's perfect for this actuator. You just press it. It'll either push or pull the pin real quick and strong. And then that's it. So the momentary mode is perfect for this thing. But for a light bulb, you want the toggle mode. So let's switch off the master. I'll put the jumper pin back on. I hope I got it in the right position. Put the master switch back on. And boom. Yeah, toggle mode. Press it. It's on. Press it again. There's something wrong with that one. Battery is weak on that one. So press it again. And it's not wanting to work. Okay. I don't know if it's a battery issue. Oh, I'm too close to the radio. The remote was too close. How about that? Is that possible? That seems to be what's happening though. I'm out here now. No? Press it once, it's on. Press it again a bunch of times, nothing. I think it's the mode. Let me put it in the other jumper mode. Master switch off. Put the camera down for a second. Come over here and jump the other pins. I think it was in latched mode. Turn the master switch back on. Alright. Now we press the remote. See what happens. On, off. On, off. Yeah. I just had the jumper pins in the wrong position, so that white remote works. And I don't have that one paired. This must be the one that's paired. On, off. Yeah. On, off. But you don't want to get too close to the radio. And then this third one isn't paired. Or is it? Yes, it is. Just don't want to get too close to the radio. Okay, that's the key. Sorry about my finger being in the way of the camera there. Oops. Rookie mistake. But yeah, on and off all day long now with the little remote. So I think I've pretty much documented how to wire and hook up and use one of these cheap little $9 made in China radio controlled relays. Now you can either hook up the 12 volts to control both the relay magnet, the electromagnet. You're going to have to use 12 volts to control the electromagnet on the left side. But you can use the same 12 volts if you jump, like I did here, to the COM port on the other side to get your power, to control your device, light bulb, actuator, motor, whatever. But you can also have like a 120 watt bulb, so you could actually have a bulb that's plugged into the wall. As long as you splice in between and have the hot side of the cord going into here and then out back to the wall, and then the other side of the cord going into the wall, you can have an 120 volt bulb getting its juice from the wall, okay, hooked up to this relay. And you can still use this remote to control the relay. So the 12 volts are controlling the relay, so the 12 volts are controlling the 120 volts. Okay, that's what I'm saying, is you can hook up a 120 volt device over here, and just remember your 12 volt battery is the one that's controlling the electromagnet, though, the switch inside this box. As soon as you give juice to the electromagnet, it's going to pull that arm, because it's a magnet. It's going to pull that metal arm, and that's a switch. Just like this metal arm is a switch, there's a little metal arm in there. But instead of my hand flipping the switch, there's a magnet doing it, and the magnet is an electromagnet, and that way the radio can control the electromagnet. And it's all very sophisticated, yet it's the most basic of electronics. Some Yahoo car mechanic who only knows how to work on Chevys that were made in the 40s, they would know how to do this. This is such basic electronics that anybody who knows how to work on cars can do this kind of stuff. And here I am in my late 50s just learning about electronics, thinking I'm a electrical engineer or something. I'll get there. I want to be an Arduino expert. So this is a start. I got my little Arduino I'm working with, my little Arduino starter kit, and I've got a couple of these radio controlled relays separate from the Arduino. they're kind of sophisticated. So I started with these a couple years ago, actually. I've only used them a few times. And now I've graduated to Arduino. Hold on a second. Okay. So like I said, got one of these electronic starter kits, basic starter kit, and it comes with one of these boards. One of these boards with the USB port and a DC in port, a bunch of pin ports, and a microprocessor and some RAM. This is a computer, actually. Now this is just a little radio and a relay, okay? And there's some chips and a button and a light and some, there's some sophistication with this. It's not just a relay and a radio. Yet, it's no Arduino Uno. Like this. Here's an Uno R3. Also made in China. It's a knockoff, but it's an open source technology, so there's really no stealing. So even a knockoff is actually just as good as the original Arduino was made in Italy. In fact, some of the Chinese ones are better. It's all open source. If you don't know what that means, it means they're not stealing. Anybody could take the code and the plans to make one of these boards and make one themselves legally. Okay. And so these boards, if you use one of these boards, you can do all kinds of things. Control many things all at once. You can hook a keyboard, monitor, all kinds of things. It's a computer. Okay. And if that's not enough, if you need to control more devices and have more sophistication, well, instead of the Uno, they got the Mega. And so here's an Arduino Mega. More places to hook things up. It does more things. It's still very small computers. On this computer, that's the processor. On this Mega, with a more sophisticated processor, it's smaller. It's this square chip right here. But it's better. It's a little bit better. Does more. Kind of like the M1 has replaced the Intel chips. It's a smaller chip, but it does more. Well, that's how technology rolls. Always improving, getting smaller and better. Well, I think that covers it. It's about a 30-minute video here, unless I edit it down. But it's mostly just for me, so I don't forget any of this. So I don't forget how to hook up these radio-controlled relays, which I've done a few times. I've used them for a few months, put them away for a year, and then forget how to do it. Got to go get the instruction manual and learn how to do it all over again. I'm getting old. I forget easily. So like I say, I think that covers it. Peace out.